So audio, let's double check it's red. Perfect. Okay. Notes. Okay, Liesl, what is your name and what is your title for the Red Path?
Oops. How else can we get this thing here?
Next one would be tape.
Yeah, I have duct tape.
That'll
Yeah,
work.
let's see.
Okay. So what is your name and what is your title for the Red Path?
My name is Liesl Kruger, and I hold the point for the Sacred Fire of Liesl in South Africa, based in Cape Town.
And what did you do before this?
Before this, I was a very dynamic and ambitious corporate tax lawyer, believe it or not.
I could see that. I could see that. Yeah, because you're very strong, so I could see you in that role before, very much. And how did you come across plant medicine?
Well, I must say I was very successful. How did I come across plant medicine? In spite of having a very successful career and enjoying my job very much, I always felt that there was something lacking, like I wasn't 100% fulfilled. So I started exploring a little bit into different courses, different workshops, and at a shamanic workshop that I attended many, many years ago, a friend of mine just mentioned this word, ayahuasca, and it was really just something clicked into place. It was almost like a memory had been jogged, like I knew that I'd experienced this before. And I was very lucky because at the time in Cape Town, not long after we'd had this discussion, there was a meeting of the Santo Daime Church with our friends from Brazil, and that was my first experience with plant medicine.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
That was, how long ago? That was about 20 years ago. Yeah. Yeah.
How were you introduced to the Red Path?
Well, how was I introduced to the Red Path? As I mentioned, our friends from Brazil used to come to South Africa to bring the Santo Daime experience to the people in South Africa. And they formed an alliance with the leader of the Sacred Fire of Liesl, called Aurelio Diaz Tecpancali, who is based in Mexico. And through this alliance, they brought the half moon ceremony or the four tobacco ceremony with them, together with the Santo Daime, and then eventually we started doing the Vision Quest in South Africa.
And where was the first place that you held Vision Quest?
The first place was on a farm near Greyton, and we were there for 5 years. But a very bad fire ran through the place and just destroyed most of it. And since then it's also been sold, so it's not an option anymore, that original place.
And then can you talk about sort of how you found this property and maybe sort of the story behind choosing this mountain and kind of how the space is laid out?
So we lived in the middle of Cape Town before moving here, but I ride horses. So I wanted a place, actually also I just wanted a better balance in my life because I was consumed by working 16 hours a day and just never having any time for free time. And then horses became more important in my life, and I felt a big calling to just get out of the city, be in nature more. So we started looking, but at the time it was quite complicated because my husband's also a lawyer and we needed to commute into Cape Town. So it couldn't be too far away, but it couldn't be too close. And then when we started looking, I was somehow insistent that we have a piece of the property with natural habitation or vegetation, fynbos, not knowing at the time how the future would unfold, of course. So when we found this property, I actually fell in love with the trees around here, but there is also a little mountain with some very natural fynbos around, and that was really appealing to me. And it's very interesting how you know, how when you look back on certain steps in your life, that it's beautiful how it's revealed after the fact that now, because this mountain here was never actually really intended to hold a vision quest. And it's very humbling and very beautiful to see what nature can offer, what the mountain can offer. That we've been here for 4 years now with the vision quest, and it's just going from strength to strength. And at the beginning I was also a little bit anxious, because we're not in the middle of unspoiled nature, but nowhere really in the world can be like that anymore. So I'm very happy that we are able to host the vision quest in this little bit of fynbos that I wanted originally.
And would you call the Red Path is it a path? Is it a religion? Is it a way of life? How would you kind of describe that?
So how I would describe the Red Path is really, it's obviously not only a physical path, it is more like an inner path also. It is really the way that we live in a good way. So it's a path very much of humility, of seeking that connection with the Creator, Great Spirit. Doesn't matter what you call it, the name by which we call the Creator or the Great Spirit. And it's also important that we don't get stuck on the labels that we humans give these things. And it's really a path of inner knowing, of self-exploration, and of honoring, of respecting all our relations in the world. You know, we often say, "Aha mitaku asin," and that means for all my relations. And with this humility and the seeking of a deeper connection really comes the gratitude and the honor of all our relations. And when we get that, it's a way that we can walk in this way, to respect each other, to respect everything around us, because we just don't. Especially in our Western culture, we really take everything for granted, and we very much have a culture, I mean, look in the world, where we just take and take and take and take, and we never pause for a moment to actually say thank you. Thank you to the earth, thank you to Mother Earth for, I mean, everything we use, everything we eat, everything we wear comes from the earth, and still we just take. So I think it's an important way to honor creation, to honor each other, to honor ourselves, and to walk in a very humble way, a way of enjoying our lives as human beings, to find joy, but to always carry on seeking this connection that we don't cultivate enough in our lives, in our daily busy lives, where we are consumed with, well, mostly with our devices these days, and it creates such a disconnection. And it's to be walking in this way is a very beautiful way to forget a little bit about all of that, to forget about everything that our minds have created, to be in community with like-minded people, and to feel that sense of belonging to a group, belonging to the earth, belonging to the world, and to remember how to remember. Because to walk this way is also to honor the 7 generations before and the 7 generations that are coming. So if we sit around a fire together with the sacred medicines, we remember what we were, because we are going to be our own ancestors as well. So beautiful opportunities to cultivate more of this in our lives.
That's great. Ask that. What is a vision quest?
What is a vision quest? So originally the vision quest comes from the Lakota tradition in North. Baleka. Baleka.
So what is a vision quest? Or what is the vision quest for those who for me, I think to give some context to the question is when people ask me what is a vision quest, I say it's 4 days on the mountain without food or water.
Okay.
So for you, what is a vision quest?
What is a vision quest? So for me, I mean, the origin of the vision quest comes from the North America, from the Lakota tradition, where when the men came of age, they spent 4 days and 4 nights without food or water in a confined space to find themselves and to cry for a vision. But vision can be many things too. But in this tradition that we follow, which is the Sacred Fire of Itzatlatlan, we have 4 vision quests that we commit to in our lifetimes. The first one is 4 days, which means 4 days in a space on the mountain without food or water. And for this 4 days, we pray to the east, and the prayer is for humility in our lives. Because, you're being left, you get planted on the mountain by the support team, and you have to stay there until you're collected again. And it's a very powerful, but also could be quite a lonely moment when you are just left there. And very powerful about the vision quest is the challenge of sitting with yourself. People often say like, oh, I'm going to be hungry and thirsty. Yes, of course you're hungry and thirsty. But for most people, the biggest challenge is ourselves. And that's why it's such a beautiful opportunity to get to know ourselves. The ancient Greeks also said, know thyself. Because we find a million reasons to be distracted from ourselves. And all of us have many emotions and feelings that we prefer to just quietly sweep under the carpet and leave them there. And people often say to me, oh, I love being on my own, but we're never really on our own anymore because we're on the phone or we're like talking to someone or we make a cup of tea or whatever. But in the vision quest, you are really with yourself. And that's why it's such a profound and insightful experience. So that is the 4 days. And the vision quest design is also progression. So after you've completed 4 days, the next quest is 7 days. So that means after the 4 nights, you get support in the form of peyote tea and some fruits. And then you have 2 more nights to complete the 7 days. And the 7 nights, 7-day quest is to the south. And the prayer is very much about the water. So it's very much honoring the waters in our lives, our emotions. 7-day quest often for people are very emotional, very a time of processing grief and like crying, many tears flow in 7 days. After you complete 7 days, it's the 9-day quest. So then you receive more support in the form of water and more fruits. And the 9 days we pray to the west, and it's very much about the rebirth, like the purpose of our lives. And if you've completed 9 days, you are ready to climb the mountain for your 13 days, which is to the north. And we pray for 13 days for more integrity in our lives. And on the final 4 days, you also get more support in the form of water and corn and meat and fruit. So the vision quest is really, it's so many facets. It's almost like each time another transformational step in our lives. And the design is really... Kwezi! Okay, I've got my thought. Kwezi!
Yeah.
The design is very intelligent because it's this progression. It would not make sense to start with 13 days because we are not mentally prepared for this. And the vision quest is also an opportunity to really get physically stronger because sometimes we have to make big sacrifices in order to gain the spiritual stamina and the spiritual maturity. But also this path of commitment and vision quest, it's also not everyone's path to go sit on the mountain. It's very much a path of having a good intention of going there, a path of a warrior. Some people are more comfortable being in the support camp, and that is a very big aspect of the vision quest because we support our friends on the mountain. So every morning and every evening we sing to them, facing each direction. So in this way we also honor each of the 7 directions, and they can hear that in the mountain. and we really hold the whole Vision Quest in the support camp. There's a fire that burns and that is always watched for the 13 days and 13 nights of the Vision Quest. So I feel that this path, this design is also a way where everyone can find his or her place, because it's like, to lift this prayer, it's like liftoff of a big machine, and we need all the cogs to work together. And it's very beautiful to see how, when it starts flowing and every person just slots in and does what he or she needs to do in order to lift this for the benefit of for all of us. Because if one of us gains, we all gain in this way. Pixie.
Can you speak, while you mentioned support, the question I had here was, would you say it's important to come support first before doing your quest? And the reason I asked that was that I think my ego wanted to accomplish 4 days, 4 nights, but I had no idea why I was going up there for 4 days and 4 nights. So by me coming down, it allowed me more time here to see and listen and witness everything that happens here, to understand why we go up. So would you say it would be, I think the question I want to ask, would you say it's important to come support first, or to just come and try the Vision Quest on your for the first time?
So would I say it's more important to support first before you actually climb the mountain? It's a difficult one to answer, because I think it very much depends on each person. So I've seen through all these years of facilitating this, that some people are immediately super clear that this is what they want to do, and their arrow is immediately going straight to the mountain. And it's usually one has that clear intention. And then you mentioned that, and I've seen this also, like sometimes the ego, because we are in our minds the whole time. We say the ego, but it's our minds. It's this thing of like this fear of failure, and this concept of what we have to be successful in life is always to accomplish things and have money, and that's where this like, I'm just going this so I can say that I did 4 days on the mountain. And yeah, it's interesting to observe, because very often when that is the intention, the quest is not completed, because it's not that strong inner focus, inner work. So in that sense, I think coming to support is very valuable, because one can really get a very good idea if you're unsure. Because also I do many ceremonies with different plants and sweat lodges, so it also depends where you're coming into the Vision Quest. So I think if people do, especially the half moon ceremony and sweat lodges and the ceremonies of the fire, of the sacred fire path, you are somehow more prepared for this. Whereas if someone just comes in cold, I think it would be very beneficial or it might be very beneficial for that person to support, because there is many teachings to be had in the support camp, and a really deep understanding of what we are doing and why we are doing it. But yeah, I guess it really depends where you are in your life and what you want to do. And also the path is of commitment for 4 years in everything, because it's the 4 directions. So if you quest, you commit to complete your 4 quests in your lifetime. But if you support, you also commit to complete the support of 4 years. And that I find is also a concept that's quite difficult for people to grasp, because we want instant gratification, we want everything now, we don't want to learn the lessons, we don't want to take the time, we want all the answers, and it takes time. So what people also do is that, what I did, for example, I did my 4 days, and then the following year the support was really low. So I didn't quest, but I did my support. So also you can balance it out. Some people, it's also a journey, not a race. But the idea is to complete whatever you commit to. So you can quest 1 year, support another year. Some people prefer to do it that way as well.
it's still going through there. Okay, so if you could sort of, I think it picked some of it up, but if you could kind of summarize the importance of for some people, it's important for them to come the first year.
So, what is the correct way to approach it? The support, or not the correct way? What is the preferred way? The support or the vision quest? Some people hear about the vision quest and they immediately, yes, I'm in. I want to do it. And some people are a bit unsure about. What are they barking at?
I think it times out after 15 minutes. I think it times out.
Okay, so some people come through the vision quest because they hear about it and they're immediately sure in themselves of their intention as to why they want to do it, and they oh no. Oi! Okay. Some people hear about the vision quest and they're immediately certain that this is what they want to do. The intention is strong, the intention is clear. And other people are often not so sure about what this entails. It sounds maybe interesting, but they first want to come and check it out. And for them, I think it's very useful to come and support, because the support really carries the whole vision quest, and one can learn many things by supporting and seeing what it's all about. And I also find that for some people, it might be something that they want to climb in order to prove something, because, as I said, that's our lives is all very much about, achieving and like almost like ticking off another box. And often when it's like that, you find it very challenging to complete your quest because the inner strength is not there. So also, people that come through, I do many ceremonies with plants, with sweat lodges, the half moon ceremony. I think if people have had a taste of the ceremonies of the path of the sacred fire, they are somehow more prepared, because we pray a lot for this and we talk a lot about it. Whereas if someone just comes in cold without really understanding, it might be beneficial to support. And also that, we commit for 4 years. We commit for 4 years to complete our quests, or if we support, we commit for 4 years to support. But it doesn't have to be consecutive years. So some people prefer, and I did it myself. I did my 4 days, and then the next year there weren't enough supporters. So I supported and then continued with my quests. So some people really prefer to take maybe a longer break in between and to experience both sides of the coin, because the important thing is together we lift this prayer so that it can happen.
That was good, thank you. You kind of went back through everything that you discussed before. Who's Vision Quest for? How does someone prepare?
Who's the Vision Quest for? Mustn't I answer that?
Oh yes, because that was
that's really.
So who is the Vision Quest for?
Who is the Vision Quest for? I would say, of course I want to say the Vision Quest is for everyone, because I see the profound benefits of this. I see the transformation in people. I think it's really good for people who have a certain amount of stamina and willpower to be prepared to be there on their own. It's not an easy thing. It's very rewarding. But I always think the more challenging something is, sometimes it is more rewarding. I think you need to be at a certain point in your life where you are sure about why you are doing it. Otherwise you will struggle to find peace up there. And I also think it's important that we, whether you're actually on the mountain or supporting, that we remain always humble, that we are always seeking. Because, I've completed all my quests many years ago, and I look at the questers, and there's that certain point of like, I wish, of course I could do it again, but then I have to do 4 times. But that feeling of, maybe now in my life, it would also be a very good moment to do it. So I think if you struggle with, I think we all struggle to live in these times, hey? Because it's overwhelming. Everything feels overwhelming. We are bombarded with information the whole time, and I don't think I don't think the human brain is designed to be bombarded like this. You know, all the social media. This is why we have so many mental diseases. You know, we create this. So I think to just achieve some sort of reset for everyone, to be in the mountain with no distractions, only nature and yourself, is a really, really powerful thing. And the profoundness of this cannot be underestimated. I mean, your life will be changed forever because of the insights and the knowledge and the understanding that you can get in this way.
One thing last night, to that time that it taught me was, I got very uncomfortable. Like I was like, I don't want to be here. Like this is too much in the beginning, and I was putting so much energy towards that, and I was like, I was gonna leave, but I was like, I don't want to be disrespectful, and then all of a sudden I had this connection to being up there in the mountain, the same thoughts as I was having, and I was like, this is your opportunity to change those thoughts, to find joy in something that's uncomfortable right now, but to get stuck in and just be present.
Yeah.
And then I switched.
Wow.
And stayed in and started singing a bit more, and then I found it because I was like, I mean, we did that before, don't do it again. Like, learn from that.
Yeah, beautiful.
And that really helped. So there'll be two things that'll help me for next year. That ceremony and that sort of metaphor of the previous time. And then when you said the other day, it's not about going up there and suffering. It's about finding joy and softness on the mountain. I was like, oh man, I needed that cheat code like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know? But I had to come to the realization of that on my own.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for those two little pieces that helped me over the next year.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of similarity with that uncomfortableness from yesterday.
Yeah, the thing is, can I comment? The thing is with discomfort is we are afraid of it because we have very easy lives. Everything we want, we can have, more or less. You know, we can go into a shop, we get what we want. We open a tap, there's water. Most of us open the fridge and there's food. We have clothes, we have, you know, we are so privileged that we don't know what it is to be grateful anymore. So this comfort, one of the questors this year said the penny dropped when she realized that sometimes we have to lean into the discomfort. It's the only way we're going to shift it, because if we, you know, it's like that thing of like, to slay the dragon, you have to face it. Otherwise it will just always be there, lurking somewhere and causing us distraction in our lives.
There's David Goggins. I've been following him for a long time, and he's helped me. I've read a couple of his books, and he's helped me to get out of myself and get kind of back into exercising. And the one thing he speaks about is being uncomfortable, and by doing things that make you uncomfortable, it creates, it helps you grow. So anytime that I'm feeling discomfort in something, like, you know, through this past month, I was like, I need to go run in the morning, regardless of how I feel. I need to go run, and I would do that, and by pushing past that uncomfortableness, it just breaks you free. Like even going to swim in the dam, and sometimes it's cold, I don't want to go do it, but I know that I need to. But by pushing past that, it just makes room for so much more. And I find that's a key, is doing uncomfortable things and finding joy in them somehow.
Yeah.
Did I ask, how does someone prepare for a vision quest?
How does someone prepare for a vision quest? So obviously, I guess the easy part is the practical preparation. So to prepare for a vision quest, the quester has to make 365 what we call prayer ties. And that entails cutting 365 squares of fabric in the color that represents your year. So for example, the first vision quest is 4 days, the prayer is to the east, and the color is red. So then a 4-day quester would cut.
You can pick up that, so then a 4-day quester.
That was my foot that set them off. There's a stone under my shoe. So, for example, a 4-day quester would prepare by cutting 365 red squares. And that squares, each square represents a prayer. So you take a little bit of tobacco, put it in your square and tie it 4 fingers apart so that you have a long line of little prayers. That needs to be prepared beforehand, because when you're in the mountain, this line of prayers is placed around the quester. So you're basically doing your quest within your own prayers. And in addition to that, the quester needs to prepare what we call directional sticks or directional flags, which are a bit longer sticks, and a bigger square of tobacco is tied onto this because it represents each direction, and it holds sort of the prayers are put around these sticks. So that is the physical preparation. The mental preparation, I guess, is different for each one. Some people, well, also there's the preparation of the physical body, and again, it's so individual. Some people fast, maybe a good idea to give up coffee, but some people try and prepare their bodies for it, and other people try and have that last sip of coffee as you like going up the mountain. So it's a very individual thing. And I think the beauty of the design is the mental and emotional preparation. In some way it happens through the prayers, because as you are making your prayers, it's already a huge process. By the time you've completed the 365 prayers, you are ready, because you've worked with these prayers. And the prayers also, you know, it's 365 to present each day of the year, but it doesn't mean you have to make one prayer a day. People have different methods, but you put all your prayers, you put your life force in there, and that sort of represents, in a way, the purpose and the intention of your vision quest. Like, what are you praying for?
Yeah, I see that with my prayers. At some point I just kind of was like, okay, let's pray real quick, and it wasn't intentional.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was, you know, that's like a sign of what's to come.
Exactly,
mountain,
yeah.
You know? I wasn't fully in it.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, okay, let's just get it done.
Another thing to tick off.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, I got 365, that's done. What advice would you give to people who are curious about the Vision Quest?
What advice would I give to people who are curious about the Vision Quest? Well, the best advice I could give is to step into the ceremonial path. You know, to get to know, I mean, the Vision Quest is not only plants, even though we do work with plant medicine, but it's important to experience the traditions and to get to know, the, you know, it's a serious thing. It's a very serious thing, but it's also a joyful thing. And what I really very much like about this Vision Quest here and the Sacred Fire Feast at Slatlan is that it's a tradition. It's a lineage, actually. It's a lineage. Because so many people today are serving all sorts of plant medicines and making up their own things with no actual training and no lineage backing them. So I think it's very important for people who are curious to come and let's work together and let's pray together and let's do the ceremonies, and so they can get a feel, because I do all my ceremonies aligned with the sacred fire, whether it's ayahuasca or psilocybin, whatever, it is aligned, and that's very important, so that they can understand more and we can talk about it. And there's a very big support group actually that people can belong to. Sweat lodges, attending sweat lodges is also a very good way, because it's one of the ceremonies of the sacred fire, is to get a feel for how this works. You know, it's not just a situation where you go and drink medicine with someone and they play recorded music. I mean, it is really the genuine thing. It's a lineage from ancient times, and I think that's important to recognize, because these ceremonies and this lineage, it's not man-made. It's from spirit, you know, it was handed over, and we cannot ever do anything human to improve on it. So it's very important for people to get rid of all these ideas and all our man-made ideas about how to do things, because it's already here. and it's already perfect. So my advice to someone who is curious would be to engage with me. Let's talk. There's reading material, but also this path is very much one of learning through experience, learning by observing, because it's not a mental thing where you can study something, you know, where you can like read up about how it works, because that's exactly what we need to step away from a little bit, is to move from here and to watch and to learn and to cultivate this feel for it.
And how would people find you? What's a way to connect with you?
So I have a website that's called spiritusvictoria.com, and I like that because for me it represents the victory of the spirit, you know. And we all, that's my prayer, is that every human being can find this victory of his or her own spirit, that we can overcome. Anyway, I digress. So I have a website, you can contact me through there. I also have a Facebook page, spiritusvictoria.com, and an Instagram handle, same thing. So if anyone is interested, please get in touch, and yeah, let's grow this family in a beautiful and organic way.
And what are some of the I'll say services that you offer?
The services that I offer, I do actually most of my work with the medicine of ayahuasca. So I do that in a ceremony that's very aligned with this sacred fire work. So I do that about once a month. I do ceremonies with psilocybin, with peyote, the half-moon ceremony or for tobacco ceremony. I do medicine sweat lodges and sweat lodges like normal sweat lodge temescal, but I also have the blessing and the authority to do a medicine sweat lodge, which is, the design is a bit like the half moon ceremony, but we're in the sweat lodge with medicine. And then I do often walks with the plants, like a medicine walk. I also do private healing sessions, which is like a shamanic healing session, sometimes involving a bit of work with family constellations. And then in this tradition, in this lineage, also weddings, funerals, coming of age ceremonies. And I also do a lot of work with women, so women's circles, like I usually do a few of those a year.
And anything else you would like to add?
Sure. What I would like to add is that this path is, that's many people encounter this, and there's often a resistance to all the so-called rules, because there are certain designs. These guidelines, we need to come to understand that these guidelines are our protection. It's our protection on this path, and it's our protection in this work. So that what we do is not completely loose, and if it doesn't work for you, everyone's welcome to go and find something that suits them better. But this is a path of very much follow the design, but there's also flexibility. So that is often a resistance that comes up in people's lives. And in this way, working with these challenges and these resistances and the discomfort, and even the discomfort of not just being able to walk anywhere or step anywhere, because we never, for example, cross between the medicine and the fire, so out of respect. But I think it's a very good opportunity for everyone to, we need to train our minds more, because people spend hours in the gym exercising muscles, and we never do it with our minds. We let our minds run away with us like wild horses broken free. And it's a very good way of coming, rebalancing, coming back to your center, to just be safe in the protection of the guidelines of the design, so that we can achieve the stillness in our minds and not all this chitter-chatter and trying to figure everything out and trying to understand everything and trying to have all the information. I mean, that really doesn't serve us most of the time. So it's also for me a very beautiful path to connect with this aspect, like to achieve.
Last question, just thought of it. What is your vision?
My personal vision with this is, you know, on this path we have a few altars. One of them is the Vision Quest, but we also have the sacred dances. So my big vision for me is to bring the dances here. At least the Star Dance, which is a very beautiful dance where we dance through the night with medicine, honoring our ancestors. And so that's more like a concrete vision. Maybe not in my lifetime, who knows? But I'm very passionate, and it's also my vision to take this work somehow to other countries in Africa, because we are the point here. And I already go to Mozambique every year, and it's very beautiful to see how, you know, how many people from Mozambique are now here doing the Vision Quest on the mountain. So my vision is also to where possible, is to take the work into Africa, and then also to receive other people from Africa, because it's important to acknowledge, as this path teaches us, that we're all the same. We're all one tribe. We all want the same things. And many First Nations, many traditional people in Africa have lost what they had, even their own cultures and traditions. So this is a very good way to in some way bring everyone together again, so that we can celebrate life in this way together.
Great.
Okay.
Good job, Liesl.
Thank you.